Discipline is often misunderstood in today's world. Many see it as restriction, control, or something harsh and joyless. But in truth, discipline is a form of inner alignment. It is the art of choosing what is meaningful over what is momentarily comfortable. Without discipline, the body becomes lazy and the mind becomes scattered. With discipline, both can be directed, like water flowing into a channel, gaining strength and purpose. It is not punishment. It is a choice to live with clarity and focus, rather than confusion and reaction. Every meaningful transformation begins with discipline. You cannot build a strong body by only moving when you feel motivated. You cannot cultivate a calm mind by meditating only when life is peaceful. Real growth begins when you do what is necessary, even when comfort whispers to stop. Discipline builds a structure, a rhythm to your life. Wake, move, breathe, rest. These are simple acts, but when done consistently, they become sacred. They shape who you are becoming. It is important to understand that discipline does not mean rigidity. It means awareness. To eat when your body needs nourishment, not out of boredom. To rest when your mind needs silence, not because of laziness. To train even when the body feels tired, because you recognize the deeper strength being formed. Discipline teaches you to listen, not to your habits, not to your fears, but to what is true and lasting. It is how the inner voice becomes louder than the outer noise. There will be days when the body resists movement and the mind resists silence. These are the most important days to practice. Discipline is not forged in easy moments, but in struggle. Each time you rise early when you want to sleep in, each time you choose stillness over distraction, you are proving to yourself that your higher self is in command. Over time, this builds trust within. That trust becomes power, quiet, steady, and unshakable. A disciplined life may appear simple, but within that simplicity is great strength. It removes the chaos of indecision. It replaces excuses with action. It is not a path for the weak because it requires honesty and patience, but it is a path that leads to freedom. The freedom to live without regret, to move without pain, to think without confusion. And for those who walk this path with sincerity, discipline becomes a form of love, not control, but care for the body, the mind, and the life that holds them both. The body and the mind are not separate entities. They are two expressions of the same life force, moving together, influencing one another in ways that are both subtle and profound. When the body is tense, the mind cannot rest. When the mind is agitated, the body carries that stress like a burden. True balance cannot be achieved by focusing on one and ignoring the other. They must be trained together, cared for together, and brought into harmony through conscious living. Observe the breath. It is the bridge between body and mind. When the breath is fast and shallow, the mind becomes anxious. When the breath is slow and steady, the mind begins to settle. Likewise, when the body moves with awareness through walking, stretching, or disciplined forms of physical training, the mind becomes alert and present. These are not coincidences. They are signs of a deep connection that most people have forgotten. To remember this link is to begin living with intention rather than habit. Modern life often pushes us to treat the body like a machine and the mind like a container of thoughts. But neither is true. The body feels. It stores memory, emotion, tension. The mind reacts not just to thoughts, but to the state of the body itself. Poor posture creates emotional heaviness. Lack of movement dulls creativity. In contrast, a healthy, active body becomes a foundation for clear thought, sharp awareness, and emotional resilience. Training one without the other is like watering only half a tree and expecting it to bear fruit. Disconnection between body and mind creates confusion. A restless mind trapped in an inactive body leads to frustration, anxiety, and loss of purpose. Many people try to quiet their thoughts while neglecting their physical health, or they chase physical goals while ignoring mental discipline. Both paths are incomplete. Wholeness comes from realizing that every movement of the body is an opportunity to shape the mind, and every breath taken in awareness strengthens both. In every tradition that values self-mastery, training begins with the understanding that body and mind mirror each other. When the body becomes still, the mind can reflect. When the body is strong, the mind becomes confident. When the mind is focused, the body moves with grace. There is no separation, only the illusion of it. And once that illusion is removed, your training, your health, and your life will no longer be divided, but aligned in a single, unbroken flow. In a world filled with constant stimulation, to be present is rare. Yet presence is the gateway to peace. The mind that is scattered across past regrets or future worries cannot experience life as it is. It reacts instead of responding. It seeks escape rather than clarity. Mindfulness is the practice of bringing the mind back to this moment, not just as an idea, but as a lived experience. Whether walking, sitting, eating, or training, mindfulness makes each action complete. Without presence, even the most disciplined routine becomes empty. Presence is not something you achieve once and then keep forever. It is a practice, a returning. Just as the body must be stretched daily to remain flexible, the mind must be brought back to now, again and again. This is not failure, it is the training. When the mind drifts, notice it. Gently bring it back to the breath, to the step, to the motion of your hand. Through this repetition, the mind begins to obey not through force, but through familiarity. It learns to rest in the present moment as its natural state. True mindfulness is not passive. It is alert, steady, and alive. It is the awareness of how your foot meets the ground, how your food tastes, how your emotions rise and fall without owning you. Most people move through their day half asleep, caught in thoughts, lost in reaction. But the mindful person sees clearly, not just the outside world, but the movements within. This clarity creates freedom. When you are present, you are no longer ruled by unconscious patterns. You choose instead of being pulled. The breath is your constant anchor. It is always here, always now. When the breath is shallow, so is your attention. When the breath is deep, attention deepens with it. That is why in every tradition of inner training, the breath is honored, not just as a function of the body, but as a tool of awareness. To follow the breath is to learn how to remain steady in the storm and quiet in the noise. With each inhale and exhale, the mind is gently trained to stay where life is actually happening. Here, in this moment, presence is not limited to silence or stillness. You can be fully present while walking through a crowded street, training your body, or washing your hands. It is not about retreating from the world, but being fully awake within it. Mindfulness turns ordinary moments into sacred ones, not because they change, but because your relationship to them deepens. In this way, presence becomes not just a practice, but a way of being, a lens through which you begin to see the world and yourself with clarity, patience, and wisdom. In the journey toward health and balance, the desire for perfection can become a heavy burden. Many become trapped in the belief that unless every movement, every breath, and every thought is flawless, their efforts are wasted. This mindset leads to frustration, doubt, and often abandonment of the path altogether. Yet true mastery is not born from an unattainable ideal, but from steady progress. The small steps taken daily, no matter how humble, build a foundation far stronger than sudden, unrealistic leaps toward perfection ever could. Perfection is often an illusion, a mirage that moves further away the closer you reach for it. It asks for an impossible standard. No mistakes, no weakness, no pause. But life is not perfect. The body is not perfect. The mind is not perfect. There will be days of discomfort, distraction, or fatigue. These moments are not failures but essential parts of growth. Progress honors these moments by encouraging persistence, patience, and compassion for the self. It recognizes that every effort, no matter how small, brings you closer to a stronger, healthier state. The discipline that embraces progress over perfection allows space for learning and adjustment. When you stumble in your training or lose focus in meditation, it is not a sign to stop, but a signal to observe and adapt. Each challenge becomes a lesson. Instead of demanding perfection, progress invites curiosity. What did I learn? How can I approach this differently next time? This mindset transforms setbacks from enemies into teachers, turning frustration into fuel for continued growth. Consistency, rather than intensity, is the true measure of success. Like a river carving through stone, small but steady actions accumulate into profound change over time. One mindful breath, one focused movement, one conscious moment, repeated day after day rewires the body and mind. Progress is not about speed or grandeur. It is about showing up again and again with honesty and commitment. This steady approach brings not only physical improvement, but also deep confidence and resilience. Focusing on progress cultivates a relationship with yourself grounded in respect rather than judgment. It allows you to honor the present moment and your current abilities without harsh comparison to where you wish to be. This acceptance creates a fertile ground for transformation, one that is sustainable and kind. As progress becomes the priority, the journey itself unfolds as a path of discovery, growth, and quiet joy. True strength is often mistaken for physical power or outward displays of force. But real strength is not something you show to the world. It is something you cultivate quietly inside. It is the calm in the storm, the steady breath when everything around you is chaotic. This inner strength is born from discipline, patience, and self-awareness. It is the foundation upon which resilience, courage, and endurance are built, and it cannot be taken away by external circumstances or fleeting emotions. When you rely solely on physical strength, you are vulnerable to fatigue, injury, and limitation. The body can grow tired or broken, but the strength within, rooted in the mind and spirit, remains unshaken. This inner strength is like the roots of a tree, unseen but essential. It supports every movement, every decision, and every challenge. It allows you to face discomfort without fear and to continue forward when the path is unclear. Without it, physical effort becomes hollow and achievements become fragile. Building this strength begins with honest self-reflection. It requires looking inward with courage to acknowledge weaknesses, fears, and distractions. This is not weakness, but the first step to true power. When you accept your whole self, the strong and the vulnerable, you create space to grow. inner strength thrives not in denial or suppression, but in understanding and embracing your nature with kindness. This acceptance transforms fear into confidence and doubt into clarity. The mind is the forge where inner strength is shaped. Through consistent practice of mindfulness, focus, and disciplined action, the mind learns to hold steady. It learns to face challenges without being overwhelmed. It learns to persevere when the body wants to give up. This mental endurance supports the body, allowing it to push beyond limits and recover from setbacks. In this way, strength becomes a cycle, constantly reinforcing itself between body and mind. True strength is also deeply connected to purpose. When your actions are aligned with meaning, strength flows effortlessly. The will to protect, to grow, to serve, or to simply be fully present fuels your inner fire. This strength is not boastful or aggressive. It is humble and persistent. It sustains you quietly, day after day, through the inevitable ups and downs of life. Cultivating this strength becomes the greatest gift you can offer yourself, for it is a source of peace, freedom, and lasting vitality.